Okay, so I will move to the next sessions. So this session will be like mostly introduce you the Masternode architectures and give you a quick demo how to run it. My name is Nguyen. I'm blockchain lead engineer at TomoChain. Basically, I'm in charge of developing the core platform of TomoChain. And in like years, I will do the underlying the voice protocol. It doesn't really work. Okay, so it says some struggling with the device. So this is the agenda. Give you the overview of the TomoChain Masternode, what it is, and I give you clearly the requirements because the TomoChain we hope that we can maintain a really strong network with strong servers. So it should be some hardware and software requirement, and give you a demo. So maybe you can help me to move to the slide. The quick slides describe you clearly the TomoChain Masternode what it is. So basically, the electric commuters connected to the TomoChain network via the QoS consensus. So we maintain the network with maximum 150 masternodes elected via the voting mechanism of the master website. So the Masternode exactly the name is really big servers. Do really some really big work. I list out here the basic workload of the Masternodes. So the Masternodes in charge of creating and validating block, and it has to do processing the transaction. And because we support smart contract, so the Masternode also has to execute a smart contract code and earn some rewards, and also we have the inline reward engines. And as you already mentioned to you, that we have a plan to build TomoX protocol for the decentralized chains. The unique point of the TomoX is that we maintain the decentralized order book and the decentralized matching engines. So that is a unique point. Because on the market right now, we see that there are a bunch of decentralized exchanges that is not fully decentralized. Because they still have centralized order book, but we across all the book across 150 masternodes and then one fully decentralized. So next year, the masternode have to do storing the order book and also executing the matching engine. Next slide. And actually, more to come when we have new ideas, we will also inject into the functionality of the masternode. The starting point, if you really want to run the Masternode, you need to have 50K Tomo deposit into the system via the Tomo Master website. But it doesn't seem at that point because we have the requirements. So I list out here the basic hardware requirement and software requirements. Next slide. Your servers, your Masternode needs to facing to the internet directly with the public IP. We don't allow you to run under the net. The minimum amount of the CPU is 8 cores, and so the memory, the 32 gigabyte memories, and the storage needs to be SSD. The boot starting amount of the hard disk would be like around 100 gigabyte. We recommend you to run Masternode on cloud environment for accessing the high availability features provided from the cloud. And there are some well-known cloud providers around the world. We name here some suggestions for the AWS with the instance type C5. And also with if you want to run with digital Ocean, so we have recommend you to run the CPU optimized Droplet because the Masternode and TomoChain consume a lot of CPU power. So we recommend you to prioritize CPU on top of the memory and the hard drive. Next slide. This is some requirement from the software perspective. So we only support to run Masternode with a Linux machine, 64-bit architectures. And there are a couple of options to run Masternodes. In the team, we develop TomoChain Masternode client. So kudos to Etienne, the DevOps engineer in the team. He is the only person who developed the Masternode client to help you save your effort. Because that actually, if you run Masternode from scratch, it's quite complicated. And he wrote a client to simplify the process. And the requirement for run Masternode with our clients is you need to install Python and you need to install Docker because we will run the Masternode in the format of Docker containers. There are some specific versions for the requirement. You can, if you're a little bit picky and you want to run it from scratch, then we also allow it. You can download the TomoChain source code from GitHub and compile it. So the requirement for that, you need to install Guideline. That's a specific version here. And also, in another way, we already released TomoChain executable binary, so you can also download it from GitHub. Next slide. The one more important point here is that you need to open some port on the firewall. Here, in order to have the Masternode connected to each other, they all talking on the specific port at the 30303, both in UDP and TCP port protocol. And for if you want your Masternode can be like listening the external connection from WebSocket or the RPC connection. So you need to open the 8545 and also 8546 TCP protocol on firewall. And actually, it's very easy to do it with the cloud provider. So the main idea of the Masternodes is that they are a set of 150 nodes and they maintain the network. So the most important thing is they need to be online all the time. But we cannot control the network when we run the mainnet, right? So we have a strategy, the small strategy injected into the game that we have the slashing, that we calculate the performance of the masternodes, and if we figure out that, for example, one masternode doesn't do anything within we call it epoch, actually equivalent to 900 blocks. In real life, it's about 30 minutes. If the masternode don't do anything, then the game, the slashing mechanism will kick him out of the masternode sets. For the next 4 epoch, this means like about 2 hours. So this means that masternode maybe is offline. If it doesn't run on environment, maybe it has some problem and the server shut down. The basic idea is it has no reward, and the voter who support for these masternodes also don't have any rewards, and they eventually leave the unvote for that masternodes. At some point, if you don't really enjoy mainnets, we don't know that, but maybe. Masternode have an option to resign, to leave the game. You can do it on TomoMaster website with the resign option. But the deposit 50K Tomo will remain locked for 1 month. It means that you can leave the game, but your deposit is still there. And after 1 month, you can withdraw. Yeah, so as I mentioned to you before, that to run masternodes, we have TomoChain Masternode client. So it's only fully open source. We have an address to the GitHub repo, and you can go there and then you can maybe see the code and maybe you can fetch some the release. If you want to build the masternode by yourself, just download the release from the TomoChain repo and just follow the README. I wrote a really clear README there. So yes, that's quick information about the masternode, and now I'd just like to jump into the demo. So actually, we don't really have mainnet yet. So the demo will be running on our development environment called DevNet. So I'd like to sit down, do something on my machine. Yeah. So this website shows you the view of the master on the DevNet. So we only run 3 master nodes. And this website show you the current state of the blockchain network. So it's like 300,000 blocks created already with the 3 master node only. So in order to run one more master node, I will create one virtual machine on cloud. So I use AWS. I already created here. Maybe I want to expand the form. I hope you can see the text clearly. So as I mentioned before that you need to install Python and you need to install Docker. So here I already installed it with the specific version there because I'm intending to use DMN, the TomoChain Masternode client. The code name is DMN. So I have to install it with the pip3. Yeah, so it's simple like this. And then you have the TMN. So we give you some basic functionalities. Here you can start your TomoChain Masternode with TMN start, and you can stop it. You can see the status, and you have an option to update your masternodes to the latest version. So it means that the TomoChain we roll out the release quite often. So at some point you want to update your masternode to the latest version, so you use TMN update. Everything already bonded in Docker image, so it's quite handy. So okay, now I will run one masternode. You need to figure out something here. So with the TMN start, you have to specify the network you want to run. So basically, there are 3 main network: mainnet, testnet, and the devnet. When we launch mainnet, so you can specify TMN start net name mainnet. So now I just run with devnet. You need to specify the private key of your masternode. So actually, the masternode will run under a specific account, and you need to figure out to put it here the private key of that account. And this API flag will give the masternode permission to allow the external connection via the WebSocket and via the RPC connection. So let me just start one masternode. That is the terminal and private key. I already prepared here. Private key here. I want to listen for RPC and WebSocket connection here. So all things good. Let's start it. So it just takes a few seconds because we run it in Docker format and already bundle the Docker hub and just pull it down, so it's really fast. And now you see that your masternode already up and running. I will check it. So it will show up at the start website here. You have one more masternode in TomoChain at the start. And actually, it needs few times to synchronize with the current blockchain because that already has 300,000 blocks. Now, my new masternode start fetching, downloading the data. And then I have to wait a bit, but at this point, you can immediately register your masternode at your node. You don't have the starter state of Masternode yet. You have to register your node as a Masternode candidate. You can do it with the TomoMaster here. So actually, you see here now only 3 Masternodes. In order to do that, you need to have at least 50K Tomo. So you have to log in with your wallet that which has more than 50K Tomo. We provide a couple options to log in. You can do it with our mobile app named Tomo Wallet. You can log in with the private key. You can log in with the hardware wallet and MetaMask. So to make it simple, I will just log in with the private key. So I hope that is complex enough for you to don't. You cannot remember my private key. Login. So this is my wallet. I have like 630,000 Tomo. Very long deadline. Yeah. So I come back to the main phase of the TomoMaster, and now I see an option to become a candidate here. Click on that, and I register that I will deposit 50K, and I need to specify the callback address. It should be the exact address that I run my node previously. So I'm back to the node here. I think you still remember this private key. I paste to the TMN client, and this is the corresponding account. I put it here, and now I apply. So under the hood, TomoMaster will make a transaction sent from my wallet to the smart contract. So I say that okay, I want to lock 50K Tomo, and now I start to become a Masternode candidate. Back to the side here, and then you see that this is my master, not really Masternode, is my node with a status is proposed. So at this point, I have to wait because that my nodes need to be done the downloading the existing data, and when my nodes here already catch up with the current state of the network, then it will be automatically become a master nodes, because right now in the system there are only 3 master nodes, so I don't have to raise with anybody else. But in the real life, when we run the mainnet, so there are more people will join the game, and the list of the candidates will be really long, I hope. and then 50K Tomo would not be enough, then I need to receive vote from the community. And we shut out with the top, both voted, and then we take it into the master node set. But within every 30 minutes, we call it epoch. The master node set will be refreshed, will be recalculated, and we shot it again, and some master node may be kicked out, some master node, some candidate can join to the list. Yeah, I mean it happened every 30 minutes. So because that the network runs quite long, so I don't want you guys to stay here and then waiting for my node syncing up to the speed. So I think I should end the demo here. If you have anything you don't understand, you can just raise a question. And I see some people already joined the testnet here trip, big bomb. So maybe you already familiar with the TMN client, right? So if you have questions.
I would like to ask about the hardware requirements. Does impact to the work?
No.
Like you price 32 gigabyte for that.
Yeah.
If I run the server, what is less than like 8 or 16?
Yeah, I get it. So the question is, if you run a really weak server. Okay, so the answer is indirectly yes, because if you run a really slow server, it means that you cannot create and validating blocks fast enough. And it means that at the end of the epoch, at the end of 900 block, the reward engine will calculate the number of blocks that you already validated. And because your server is really weak, so you cannot validate fast enough, and then you earn less reward. And then both Josh also earn less reward. And at some point in the future, you maybe being kicked out. So the hardware requirement I showed you before is just the minimum requirement. We calculate this last number based on the test net. We run the test net for like 3 months. And also we do some stress tests in our environment, and then we specify the value, the minimum requirement.
I want to ask about the reasons behind of the IP of the node to be exposed to the public, because I think that IP is one thing, one very important thing for you to keep in secret, because as soon as you expose the IP, you are also exposed to all the attacks, and especially the DOS attacks. They can attack you in many different way to shut down. So what is the reason?
So yeah, you're correct. When you expose yourself to the internet, you receive a huge amount of requests. The main idea to require you to open the public IP is that at some point that you're located at some region that we don't really reach to, and people around that region can connect to your server to send transaction, right? So that is the first point. The second point is that because all Masternode need to be connected to each other, they can do it via the boot node. We have several boot nodes, but they can also connect it to each other. So we want to maintain a fully connected network. So you cannot do it if you run under the firewall. So that is two main reasons.
So do you have any advice for the Masternode?
Yeah, so actually, as I said before, that you should only open very limited port for connecting to another master node, and also to just open RPC and WebSocket port. So you should not open, for example, AT, HTTP, HTTPS, or some grammar protocol.
So to my experience, it's not good enough, because so in Taiwan we also run the internet for observer, but we have hide the website, and so we have to secure with a lot of with many several levels of some technology to complete from the dot.
First of all, hardware and stuff. Right. Actually, so I show you actually the minimum requirement, right? And then you have your own responsibility to protect your master nodes, because that you run it on your own environment, and we cannot touch it, right? So we just say that okay, you should open that port, but the upper level or the outer layer, you have to have some technique or protocol to protect them.
It's quite hard because if we have an IP as a policy for that, it means that we have to maintain that ourselves.
All right. So actually, if you run a proxy, it still be okay. You can configure your proxy to listening to some, for example, WebSocket or RPC connection, and then you re-forward it to your
Yeah, but my point is that we cannot use the software for that, and we have to use.
Actually, right now in our environment, we also use Cloudflare. I get the external proxy, right? We have some over. Okay. So we still use offline.
So the IP is so who is going to expose IP to like
So let's say we have, for example, I will show you. So we have three Masternode, right? We have the Cloudflare on top. We specify a simple domain for the RPC. I can connect it here with the MetaMask. So I have here the TomoChain DevNet. Maybe I should remove it. Let's get back to, for example, Gigabyte. I will try to connect MetaMask to the DevNet. With this endpoint, we define it on the external proxy. We call it RPC TomoChain DevNet of TomoChain. This some value that is 19. Yeah, and now I have this here. Let's try to refresh this. Okay. Okay, so this means that yes, we have Cloudflare on top. We define the domain name for the RPCs. So this doesn't mean that when you public your IP, the client or some wallet need to connect to your server via that public IP. You can specify the proxy later. It's okay, right?
I would like to ask about so we have 150 masternodes, right? So if the top of 50 masternodes have a very strong hardware, something like and it can be it can be dominate the rest of the masternode like the hardware and Masternode can have any port.
No, it doesn't run like that. So yeah, I see what you mean. So with the POS consensus, we take two rounds. So the first round is Masternode take the circle turn to create a block, and the second round is we choose randomly the Masternode to validate that. So let's say that if you have, like, for example, 50 Masternode really strong, it can create block really quickly, right? But the other Masternode that you really choose randomly, maybe it's not strong enough, and then some delay to validate that block. So it means that 50 strong Masternodes cannot dominate the whole network. Because you have to really rely on the weakest, so the most weak server in the list. And if there are some really weak servers, it will slow down the whole network. Actually, we don't include it. So that's why the minimum requirement of the hardware is really important. Because right now, at the current testnet, when we run, there are some really weak servers join the network. And I have to say that, to be honest, that the current speed of the testnet is really, really slow. So,
okay, but at a very early stage, you don't have enough 150 masternodes, and then a lot of candidates have enough 50K tomorrow, right? And then the masternode is slow down the network, you can prevent what is storage.
Actually, we cannot prevent that. But when we run when we run down the network, we lose the control.
Yes.
And
but this is very bad for the cost invest.
yeah, exactly.
In a large net production, this is very slow.
Yeah, exactly. So here, because we don't do KYC, we don't do any hardware scanning. I see what you mean. So at the very beginning of the mainnet, we will run an in-house 5 masternodes. and then after that, people can just come and then can just register. We can only send suggestion, recommendation. We cannot, we cannot deny the weak server. But we try to mitigate that partly with the slashing engine.
Yes, example can be some must not just have one core, 1 gigabyte. They
Yeah, I know.
still have enough 50K for become
Yeah, exactly.
right?
Yeah, okay.
And you cannot reject them.
But actually, on the other way, I think that Masternode doesn't really have enough incentive to do that because they join the game with the hope that they can earn reward. But if they run a really small machine, so it will like slow down the whole chain, and then he can get in trouble to earn the reward. So basically, don't. I think in real life, you don't.
Yes,
That's not incentive.
but example, you have some attacker and then you have enough total to run a lot of must not be very quick to slow down your whole network.
Yeah.
How can you? What was your
Okay,
strategy?
a really difficult question. 50K to more is big enough, right?
Yeah, but they have a lot of total.
You have a lot of.
They can launch a lot of must not to slow whole your network down.
Only for attacking.
Yeah, sometimes. And it is, how can you?
Okay, I think I'll see your guys. Technically, he can join, but maybe some economic side.
Okay, I think let's just think about an counter example, right? So, what is the Bitcoin miner is doing? Your example is like, okay, we have a big Bitcoin miner, but we're not using that for mining, but attacking Bitcoin network. So, I think it's not about technical side here, but it's about economic design and the incentive to do certain things, right? If you have a lot of Tomo, then you want the Tomo to increase in price, right? And if you want to kind of like join the network to secure the network, right? There's no reason, there is no big reason to just like doing something bad for the network. I think it's very similar. I think TomoChain Masternode is very similar to miner in Bitcoin in that sense, right? And secondly, I think currently the maximum we have the maximum number of Masternode at 150. And if it's full, that means 7.5 billion of Tomo locked into the system and become a Masternode. And actually, we took some observation from some other proof of stake chain. 7.5 billion in total calculated supply is not too high. So we suppose that we will have 100 Masternode very soon. And then after 100 Masternode, what is more important is you need to have enough from the community to be on the top 150s. So I think it's more in terms of economic design here. So of course I cannot say like 100% it never happened. Right? Some crazy people can do crazy things. I don't know, but I think the economic design here is based on the principle of apply incentive mechanism. Right.
Yes, that's fair.
I have a question about if I have enough Tomo to run 20 Masternode, should I run 20 Masternode or should I run one Masternode and sell the rest to upgrade that Masternode to very strong hardware, for example? Which one will be more economic?
I think the rule of the game is transparent. It is published in our paper. The answer is probably if you have enough 20 Masternode, it's more economical to do like maybe 10 Masternode and have the rest vote for your Masternode instead. Because one Masternode is you just the hardware cost is about I think so $300 per month, right?
Yeah.
Yeah. I think with the requirement we have the Masternode, you win spend about $300-400 per month. So it is not that actually much.
Is there any incentive to give more than 50K on one Masternode so that
You can lose. So basically, when you deposit 50K, you become a Masternode candidate, right? You are not a Masternode yet. After an epoch, the system choose the top 150 most voted Masternode candidate to become the Masternode for the next epoch.
so we can use if we have more than 50K, we use that for voting for ourselves.
Yeah,
It's possible, right?
You can do it.
There's no rule against that.
No, actually, you can do it.
Well, actually, I think like if you are familiar with Bitcoin mining, it's very similar, right? Here is a Bitcoin mining. The miner have to compete in terms of hashing power to create block. And here in the Masternode, you really need to have like computing to become the top 150. So I think there is a certain kind of like gaming design into the system.
You have a question?
I'm calling from Gospel Group. So I have a question. Can you explain more about the regulation in security, and how do we know that if Masternode cannot shake hands with banking on blockchain? Can you explain more?
Actually, they cannot because that's the rule of the USB consensus. So I already explained that in order to create and validate block, they actually need to have two masternodes, one issue in the round robin and another one issue randomly. So it's really difficult for you that you have a couple of masternodes and handshake to create a valid block. Even if you can do that in a very small chance, the chain needs to be confirmed by we have the finality state, so the block will be considered as cannot be reversed if they receive up to like 75% of the whole masternode set. So it's around 100 masternodes. So let's say that your masternode, your small set of masternode can create some backlog, but in future that block will be rejected by other masternodes. So yeah.
So I think we can continue with the next item in the agenda. Thank you for the presentation.